Question, the member from Lambton-Kent-Middlesex.
Well, Mr. Speaker, my question this morning is to the Premier. As the Premier knows, over 500,000 people in the province of Ontario are currently unemployed and looking for work. This government's high tax and high debt policies are literally chasing jobs out of Ontario. 2 weeks ago, I wrote to urge the Premier to join her colleague, the Minister of the Environment, and affirm her support for the proposed Billy Bishop runway extension. Mr. Speaker, why hasn't the Premier responded to my letter, and more importantly, why hasn't she stood up for the 2,000 well-paying jobs that this important proposal would create?
Minister of Transportation.
Minister of Transportation.
Well, thanks very much, Speaker. Of course, I thank the member opposite for this question. I think that he would know, I think every member in this House would know that the matter that's being discussed in the question is actually an issue that's the responsibility to work through or work out between the federal government, the City of Toronto, and the Toronto Port Authority, Speaker. But of course, this gives me a wonderful opportunity to talk about how important it is that our government continue to proceed with our very ambitious plan to not only build the province up, but to support the City of Toronto, Speaker. Since 2003, Speaker, this government has invested billions of dollars in crucial infrastructure to support the City of Toronto, Speaker. We have a number of projects that this member, I believe, would know are currently underway. For example, Speaker, the Eglinton Crosstown LRT. Just a few weeks ago, we awarded a 30-year contract to Crosslinks Transit Solutions, Speaker, to build that transformational transit project.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Well, thank you, Speaker, and back to the Premier. In 2013, the Minister of Transportation at that time, the Honourable Glenn Murray, said, and I quote, "I don't think we ever want to forget what an important economic asset that is and how important that airline is to growing jobs in Central Toronto and support for our film and banking industries, and that the airport is critical to our economy and it's been a positive addition to the economy," unquote. Mr. Speaker, the proposal to extend the runway would create 2,000 well-paying jobs and over $250 million in annual economic impact. These jobs would help support the Bombardier Downsview plant in Toronto, which recently announced layoffs of 500 people. Speaker, the Premier is failing Ontario's workers by not advocating for this important project, but there is still time. We need a willing federal partner. Will the Premier commit today to calling her friend, Prime Minister Trudeau, and urging him to support this important proposal?
Thank you. Be seated, please. Be seated, please. Thank you. No, you don't have the mic. Now you do.
Speaker, thanks very much. Obviously quite ironic that this member from that particular party would talk about having willing federal partners, Speaker. It's also, Speaker, it's also interesting to me, Speaker, that member from that caucus talks about 2012 or 2013, Speaker. In my time in this legislature, since 2012, year after year, and before that point in time, Speaker, members in that caucus from that party have consistently voted against budgets from this government, Speaker, that included funding to support all of the great things that member is talking about with respect to infrastructure, with respect to creating jobs, Speaker. And I can't understand why that member would stand and ask this question when they voted against the Eglinton Crosstown LRT. They voted against funding for Go RER. They voted against funding for the Union Pearson Express. They voted against funding for Toronto's new streetcar, Speaker. Again, the irony is a little bit thick in here today, but the people of this province and the city understand exactly where this Premier and our government stands. Thanks very much.